Well, hello. Welcome, everybody. I'll do this presentation in English because we have English speakers today. I'm really honored. I'm Javier Martínez, as you can see. And I'm very honored and flattered to be here. I'm just be the coordinator or moderator of this fantastic panel. So what I'm going to do is to just let the stars introduce themselves so that we can kick off this panel about technology. So, Danna.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danna Rabin. I'm the CEO of HEED. We are a startup, 2 years old startup, actually more than 2 years a bit, that is actually developing a digital platform that connects between sport brands and league and younger audiences. We are using AI and IoT in order to provide different storylines, turn stats into stories and provide interesting emotional, physical, and behavioral element of matches. And we are working with multiple sport categories, but of course, soccer is one of our main sport category that we are working with.
Great. Sebastián.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Sebastián Lancestremère. I'm the head of sports for Microsoft. And our mission in sports is to help organizations to become a digital business. We're working in four areas of opportunities, or 4 scenarios. One is fan engagement. The second one is smart venue. Third one is business insights. And fourth is team and player performance. And I'm glad to be here with you. Also, as part of the solutions that we provide to the market, we partner with the Global Sports Innovation Center with probably some of the potential partners or current partners. If you don't know what is the GSIC, approach me afterwards.
Grab yours.
Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Mounir. I'm Managing Director and Co-founder of Next Sports, a very new venture. Next Sports is a consulting firm specializing in tech and innovation. It's a US company with very new offices in Barcelona to address the European and Middle Eastern markets. The main areas that we navigate in are sort of working with investment funds to help them source deals. We work with some mature startups to help them determine go-to-market strategies, and also work with sports organizations to help them navigate the whole technology maze and labyrinth by, on one hand, helping them understand the trends of the technology and what technology landscape look like, but also prepare themselves for a successful future within that domain.
Hi everybody, my name is Teresa Aguilar. I am the CEO of Pivot Sport. Pivot Sport is 4 years old. It's a digital marketing company that focuses in several sports, of which obviously football, soccer is one of the big ones. We actually specialize in big data analytics, and we help rights holders understand their fans better and communicate in a different way with brands, so that they can monetize better, or they can maximize their content budgets, creating the content that the fans really like and follow.
So thank you, guys. What the dynamics of this panel will be that I'm going to ask one question to each of them and then open discussion. And then we will have around 10 minutes for open questions on your side. So, Danna, I think that now, the digital and technical and the technology is something that everybody is really working really hard, to get up to speed. So what are the main challenges that you find to provide with solutions in an industry like football?
Thank you. One of the great challenge we are facing is actually to find a way to create a completely new and disruptive offering to address the new consumption habit that the younger generation has for football, while celebrating and still keeping honest and keeping the great sport of football as it is, and keeping it the same tradition, the same sport, the same live element, the spirit, the vibe, everything that comes along with the sport, to keep it exactly the same, while still addressing all the new consumption habits. So how do you create a new, diverse, new genre of consumption that addressing the younger audience that want to see completely different and want to participate and want to be part of, but still keeping it very, very keep the tradition alive and kicking. And we are actually, what we are working on is using AI and IoT in order to provide deeper meaning to what we already know. So if we are fusing different sources of data that either is already available or we are adding additional data sets and fusing them into understanding new meanings of things that we already know. So we know that that coach is, of course, following and guiding the team, but how intense he is, where he's most excited. We know the fan that are very excited in these individual moments. How do we create extra meanings to the fan engagement? How do we create extra meaning to how a player is feeling, how a team is playing together, the game pace, the aggressiveness, all these packaged into small moments that are actually providing new way of understanding the same sport that we all like and follow and fan, but still providing a new. But this kind of dialogue constantly between completely new disruption while still keeping the tradition alive and making it the same and working together without breaking the linear consumption, making it non-editorial. These are the challenges that we are mostly facing.
Well, if I may, I want to add something. I think, there are a couple of challenges and hurdles. One is, when you see a P&L of a sports organization, probably 60%, 65% is players' wages. Then, stadium operations. So it remains a little bit for the innovation, for marketing, for new technologies. Even IT budgets are, very, very small. The teams, marketing teams and IT teams are very, very small. So on one side, it's a challenge of investment, and where the money goes. The money goes to winning more matches and to the players. And the other aspect is more a cultural thing, right? So when you think of how you monetize fan engagement, the opportunity there, you need to have a plan or a strategy. If I ask, in the audience, how many of us have a business plan on how to monetize, these opportunities around digital transformation, probably there are going to be only a few. And it's growing fast, but it's one stopper. The other one is how many of sports organizations do have a chief digital officer. And the third one is KPI. So I think the industry is maturing, but it will take some time, to talk about, data, strategy, analytics, campaigns, more and more investing and trying to have a plan on how to, drive this digital transformation.
I don't know, and this is an open question. I think that I've always worked on the club side. So do you feel that the organizations are really mature? To your point, I think that there's still a long way to go, and sometimes you move faster than the organization, so it's hard to really make that capillarization happen. What's your input from that you are dealing with organizations?
See, in our world, we work with lots of Olympic-related accounts, right? And one of the classical challenges that come up happens as soon as a technology sponsor, a technology company sponsors an Olympic organization, right? With the idea that now that we're a sponsor, we're going to bring in artificial intelligence and IoT and analytics and wearable technology and everything that we have been working on for now. And you, as the sport owners, are going to open the doors, open your organization, and allow us to come in and show you how work is done. Then the sports organizations, though, are not really prepared for that type of dialogue even, right? The vocabulary that is used is so distinct. And this is where we see lots of resistance happening, lots of friction happening, which is, to be honest with you, it's a good problem to solve. And I believe that all sports organizations, no matter whether you're working amateur sports or professional sports or Olympic sports, there is the awareness that there are new business models that are coming up, and there are new revenue streams that we need to be thinking about. But there is still this difficulty in dialoguing with the technology providers and the technology counterparts who are coming in. And I think that we're very, very early on in that stage, and probably like the next like the next 5-10 years, we will see some reorganization within the sports organizations to start creating figures like a chief digital officer, right? A chief innovation officer.
Data
and
officer.
Yep, or a data
And
officer.
even the owners and the property are thinking in a different way. And Teresa, maybe she's
No, I think it's actually a double transformation that's going on. My previous life was actually working with brands, and I always say that I've worked with brands like Coca-Cola or Bayer, consumer healthcare, Reckitt Benckiser, and these guys are marketing houses, and the brands that we deal with now in sport are sometimes larger than than those, and they sometimes had or used to have 1-2 people working in marketing. So I think it's the double whammy of becoming in themselves marketing organizations, because the digital platforms now allow them to communicate directly with the fans, whereas before that wasn't really happening. So on one side you need that, and on the other hand, obviously because it's all digital, you need the data, the analytics, etc. So the transformation, I think it's huge, because it's not just about the technology and the data, but it's how do you make the decisions, and the decisions themselves are different because they're really marketing, B2C marketing decisions that weren't really happening in those clubs before.
absolutely, yeah. I'll do the bad guy here, because we have very short of time. So this year we had the World Cup, and also I know you, Sebastián, that you're very passionate, not only a techie guy, and we had a milestone, which is the Fan ID. So that's I think it's a milestone on the integration of fan management of CRM. It's something that it might be a great opportunity. And I know that you at Microsoft, you are really, really keen on, and you're really active on smart venues, smart cities. So do you consider that this will be an opportunity for the future, or it will be the major step change for the future for smart cities, smart venues management?
Well, certainly. I had a chance to attend the World Cup in Russia.
Like you?
Yes, it was great. And we used a fan pass, similar badge like this one. But I think the experience was great. So congratulations to FIFA and the organizing committee. It was great. Now everything that the pass was more like a passport, right? But and you could go through public transportation, subways, and that was great. But the more and more we think of the evolution of this service, probably is going to be crowd management. It's going to be related to experiences for tourists, so different attractions, beacons popping up within your application. I don't want to carry a physical badge. I prefer to carry a smartphone. What if I lose this? Well, there were some booths where you can go and claim and get another one. So maybe we need to think, this type of experiences, not only for major events, but for daily, or weekly events, where the police departments, the city, and the venue owners can integrate, the whole customer experience for different purposes: security management, capacity planning as well, customer experience, and provide new and better services. So I think it's a way to go. I think we will see more, and here is a great advocate of this, right?
Yeah, we talked about it before the session, exactly. One of the underlying technologies that we are using is actually used to be serving for smart cities. And basically in smart cities, the most critical challenge is to understand the physical space. And of course, the challenge that we embrace and we are passionate about is using the same IoT technologies in order to create meaning of what happened in the live event by all the different parties, whether it's the coach, the fan, the players, and the teams, but also being able to provide a complete digital understanding of what's happening there to everyone who is not there. So basically, we're using the same smart technologies and smart cities technologies in order to unlock the physical spaces, but to provide it to everyone who cannot attend. So it's actually embracing the same technology for different purposes.
There are similar questions also coming out from the sports organizations, but that address player health, right, and player safety. If you think about players, I mean, we know how they perform. We know everything almost about them when they're with us, right, or with the specialists. But the new questions coming out are like, how about we generate awareness and intelligence in each and every environment that an athlete occupies or a player occupies? So think about on a plane, think about in a hotel, think about in a car, these environments start capturing the vitals of the athletes so that by the time they land, there is already an action plan regarding how to handle jet lag, right? And they don't have to wait until they get to the training facilities or the residences to start determining that. So there's lots of conversations happening right now among some verticals that can be classified as smart cities, smart industries, and the sports world to start tapping more and more into the athlete's body, right? And the body has been trying to tell us something about ourselves for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. But only up until, you could argue, less than 10 years ago, we're finally able to start listening to what the body is telling us, thanks to some technologies such as like wearable technologies and computer vision and all technologies that we hear of and read about today. Very, very interesting challenges ahead.
You know, there are many funny cases that I know. We have some players who really get mad because the doctor tells them that they're not playing on Saturday because they're about to get injured. And they say, but I'm feeling fine. And then they really get mad. So this is a part of what you're saying. I think this is crucial. And technology plays a major role. But if you allow me, do you want to add something, Teresa? Because now I'm going to you, to talk about gamification.
My only comment is that we do see that there's consistently a group of fans that are data junkies that love this kind of thing. So from an engagement perspective, it's obviously very valuable for the athletes and health perspective, but the fans more and more want to know these things. And if you create really cool content with that message, I think that, it resonates very well. I think Danna was talking about it before.
Yeah, it's fun. We found out very weird cases now. No, this is like the Far West. Everything is booming, and so everybody wants to get a grip on that. And one of these Far West points is the gamification. And I know that you're very active and you're very keen. And you were sharing with me before that you're having now a new experience in India. So that's a major challenge. Gamification, it's the name of the game with multiple devices. So would you share with us a little bit your vision on that?
Yeah, no, I think going back to fan engagement, because at the end, this is an entertainment, industry. Obviously, it's sport, but fans love to be entertained, and we do see a lot of engagement with younger fans with the multiple device and gaming as an extension of sport, and we've seen this across sports. I think there's several examples in football. Obviously, there's the fantasy leagues, but there's examples in more sports and etc. So we do see gamification and esports and e-games as a way of, as an extension of sport. And it's a great opportunity that some of the teams and leagues are embracing by creating their own gaming platforms and teams to compete, etc. So it's definitely something that we're watching very, very carefully because at the end of the day, it's the same. You need to understand what the fans like in that game and who they're following, etc. In the same way that you need to understand what video they're watching and what athlete they like to read about and whether they like to, know the hard statistics of, of the player, or they prefer to see something, more about their lifestyle. So those are the different preferences that you need to understand on the fans, and we see gamification as an extension of of that. Think about not every fan can go and play football right after a match, after watching a match, when they're very excited, but they can definitely perhaps play before or after, on their console, etc. Another thing in terms of devices that you were mentioning, so right now there's starting to be a bit of a difference. So in Asia and Latin America, there's more mobile games that are, the fans are actually preferring, whereas in the Western world, it's more PC games. And I think that's actually something to watch, because obviously mobile games and the engagement with young players is something very interesting, and we probably need to see what happens in Asia and what we can learn about that. So,
anything you would like to add?
Well, probably a great example.
I want to be democratic. Huh?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So. I was looking at my smartphone, and you can see here. Well, I don't know if you can see, but Fantasy Manager Predictor in the World Cup.
That's an iPhone, right?
Yes, it's an iPhone powered by Microsoft Cloud. So you can see how FIFA took a step forward and leadership role, developing applications and engagement strategies to get closer and closer to, probably older generations, but with the Panini sticker album. I also have it here, for the kids to open, purchase stickers, and if there was a promotion with Coca-Cola, and if the more you scan Coca-Cola barcodes, you get additional digital stickers. So I think those strategies are going to create more and more engagement with these new generations. Employees are more digital, fans are more digital. 40% of the global population in 2020 is going to be digital native. So this is happening. And I get back to the point of the culture, the DNA, and how the industry needs to modernize, because the fans are digital. We need to have that conversation, and we need to evangelize all together. The top executives, within leagues, federations, clubs. This is an important investment. Otherwise, the sponsors and the fans are going to turn into other industries, other entertainment industries, as you were.
Absolutely, you can stop. You can stop the tsunami, the digital tsunami.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So to wrap up, I left the Holy Grail for Mounir.
Oh, wow.
Is the big question that we at clubs, we're always trying to find out an answer, and yet it's very difficult to find one, which is how you monetize those digital assets. Because we, I personally had many discussions, but we all, I think I'm an ordinary guy, so we have all these discussions, how we can monetize those millions of fans or followers. I wouldn't say fans, because it's different to consider a fan on a client, on a follower. And what is even worse is a client. How you convert a fan into a client, that's even more challenging. So what's your vision on how to monetize those digital assets for institutions, clubs, or whatever? It's not, and not only about selling better sponsorship, because that's the easy one, but what's your vision on that?
I think that there are lots and lots of lessons to be learned from the design industry, believe it or not. If you think about design, and you think about designers, right? They design to delight us, right? They're not designing to develop more functioning artwork that we can put in our home that measures our heartbeat, right? And if you think about the process of designing to delight, there is a structured process that the people who were talking about digital transformation on that panel were touching upon is learning from the people, right? So I believe that if we continue trying to answer these questions on our own internally within our meeting rooms, with our people, with our PowerPoints, with our Microsoft Excel sheets, and with our predictions, I think we're missing a very, very important piece of the puzzle, which is the person who we want to influence and the fan who we want to transform into a client. So empowering organizations in a way that they can develop a structured process through which they can experiment with some models, learn from the feedback coming in, measure that feedback coming in, develop those KPIs ahead of time, and be able to then build upon this is a simple process that is used a lot in the design industry. Right? It's called human-centered design, if you want to look it up, or design thinking. Right? There are established schools out there that teach design thinking. I don't have the answer on how to monetize data, but I truly believe that there is a missed opportunity that we see with many sports organizations to actually open up the doors and tap into the people who they want to influence, and I would say the people who they want to delight.
Just a brief one, across the board, because we can speak for days on this subject.
Yeah. No, I agree with Mounir. I firmly believe in data and big data and what you can learn from there. But at the end of the day, people are people, and I've always also believed, I did a lot of qualitative research also before in my previous life, and I've always believed there's a mix. You have to balance both. You cannot, you get a lot of answers from data, and especially now because of the computational ability that that we have allows us to know more about a lot of people rather than kind of samples. But at the end of the day, there is a mix, and you do need to experiment and try new things and talk to people at the same time. So even though as much as I believe in in big data and what that can give, and I truly think that you can actually create very good strategies based on that, we must not forget that we're talking to people, and they have preferences, and we see it all the time.
Danna?
Yes, I think also from monetizing the digital space is, you talked about culture. I think there is a huge cultural transformation to be made in the way that we value what a digital consumption means. There was one certain model about the CPM, and everyone was chasing that, and nobody knows how to repackage new packages that value the digital, which is worth how much digital versus broadcasting rates, right? What is the difference? If everybody's going to be digital, shouldn't the digital become more costly than anything else? So I think there is a lot of digital transformation in the way we value, and we give it a dollar value, and how we package it. And I think it's more also on the selling side of, people who are selling and valuing and creating those assets. It used to be a lot of throw-in as part of, you used to sell a package, and then the digital assets were part of the package. So of course it was dime as part of gigantic package. This should be kind of transformed and to create a different balance to reflect the real world consumption. And I think there is transformation to be made there, alongside innovation in the packaging, innovation in the way we sell value to brands, and we sell value to reflect what is the value to the end consumers, and back to the brands, and how do we create better engagement between the brands, the sponsors, the sponsor and the brands, and the partners who are the sport clubs and league, and the end consumers. So,
right. So the cherry of the cake for Sebastián, please.
So we do have revenue simulators where we, estimate with the customers, with the clubs and sports organizations how much revenue we can generate across different revenue streams. And I've been asked many times, is this a fourth revenue stream? So traditional 3 revenue streams: match day, broadcasting, and commercial. And we say, well, it's both. We create a 4th revenue stream, and also we're helping the other traditional revenue streams. And I'll give you a couple of examples. One is, in one of the clubs, we help them, to sell from 100 kilograms of French fries to 2,000 kilograms, right? That was 42,000 euros of incremental revenue per match. 40 matches, 1.2. So we develop on the front end application, a strategy, a commercial strategy on their side, and a digital platform and sort of CRM, on the back end. Now, that's a great example on how you create, experiences, but that is not pure digital transformation. I think it's more digitalization of processes, right? The other one, another example, sponsorships, right? So when you see the activation, how much are you activating in digital channels? I have seen great big organizations today selling or activating around 40% of the total sales in digital channels, so social media, apps, virtual reality, web, and different channels. And then the 4th revenue stream, it's licensing content, services, subscription-based models that you can generate. So I think it's it's a mix of solutions, but we need to understand that is on one side how you digitalize processes, and on the other hand side how you create new business model, which is the pure digital transformation.
Absolutely. Despite the cholesterol challenge you will have with the fries. Okay, so thank you a lot. Now I will open, just very briefly, we have, actually we don't have time, but if you want to ask this amazing panel any specific question, please do. All right. I listened to him, so he's to blame. All right. So we do the questions, the Q&As out there. So thank you really much. I'm really honored to be here. So thank you, and thank you guys for being there.